What is up, guys? Today I want to do a quick video for you on these three bows here. This video is highlighting the CenterPoint Sniper 370. I get a lot of requests to make videos on that and all different things, experimentation and whatnot. I want to try to compare because I've never seen, there might be one out there, but for myself I've never seen a video comparing basically your typical compound, which is about 70-pound draw and whatnot, compared to a lower end crossbow producing about 80 foot-pounds of kinetic energy compared to the Sniper 370, which I can never find an accurate statement for how many foot-pounds of kinetic energy it really produces. But depending on arrow weight and whatnot, and how fast the bolt actually ends up flying, depending on those variations, it creates between 110 and 130 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. This setup, the way I'm going to shoot it, is probably producing about 115. So just keep that in mind. This one is producing about 115 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. This one's producing about 80. And this compound, which the specs on Matthew say if you're shooting 30 inches, 70-pound draw, you're going to be producing about 85 foot-pounds. I'm shooting a 29-inch draw, so I'm probably going to be at like 79-ish foot-pounds of kinetic energy, 80-ish, somewhere in there. But I just want to compare this bow, and that bow, shooting into half-inch plywood, and I want to see which one here gets the most penetration. I have a very good feeling, and it's kind of a given, but I just want to see how much different it actually is going from something that creates 115 plus to something that creates 80. So I just want to know, because I've always seen those numbers, foot-pounds of kinetic energy and whatnot, and I've just always kind of wondered, what's the real difference? Now, this isn't going to be the absolute best demonstration out there. I'm sure there's all different ways you could do it, but this is what I want to do. So I got my old hunting arrow from back in 2015. This is when I used to shoot this. Zenith. Okay, Easton Carbon Zenith. I'm going to be shooting this at that plywood. And then these are just two old bolts that I had from my old Horton crossbow. The reason I'm using these one is because they're all beat up. They don't have fletchings on some of them, and whatnot. But since I'm shooting 20 yards, it's not going to change, the force it's hitting, that plywood. So I'm going to be using these ones, not my good bolts, because whatever I'm going to be shooting at this, honestly, I'm probably going to be not using ever again because they're probably going to be junk or shattered fiberglass or carbon or whatever on the arrow. It's not going to be worth shooting anymore for safety reasons. So without any further ado, let's get on to making this test, and I'm going to actually have the camera down that way looking at the plywood from the side view so you can see the arrow actually penetrating the plywood and see how far it actually goes through. And then I'm as well going to try to do a few slow-mos for you, so stay tuned. I think this is going to be an exciting experiment. Okay, so here's my target. I've got it lined up right in front of this big stack of square bales, strip of plywood, and here's a view you're going to have. So I'm going to have this just like this, and I'm going to be shooting the compound first, then the Barnett Recruit, and then last but not least, I'm going to be shooting the CenterPoint Sniper 370. I'm going to be using the compound towards the top half, the Barnett in the center, and then lower half I'm going to be shooting with the Sniper 370. Make sure you guys are keeping a close eye on penetration. Let me know what you notice. This is going to be from 10 yards. Okay guys, to be honest, I was not expecting to see what actually ended up happening. Here's what ended up happening. The arrow, originally, as soon as the first arrow went through, I said, oh, well, this is done, it is. I mean, they're obviously, if that one went through, they're all going to go through. So the first arrow passed through, clean, right through, and you could see it stuck into the bale on the back side. The second bolt, the first bolt, but the second shot, you can see the knock is still stuck in there with the fletching. But what happened was it just passed through too, took out the knock, and the rest of the bolt went in and stuck in. And you might think, oh, well, that bolt got more penetration. Well, not necessarily. This bolt, actually, it was barely stuck in there. It was just sitting in there. But it got, this much penetration on the after passing through. But like I said, it was just kind of like sitting in there. It was just kind of sitting there. This thing, though, got about 10 inches of penetration. And now the one that absolutely dominated this challenge was the Sniper 370. It hit dead center, actually right next to a knot in the board, and it zipped through, and look, it buried it all the way up into the firmest part of this bale. It buried it up in there. See that knock? That Sniper 370 absolutely buried this bolt through there and into the bale. That's full penetration. It went completely through the board and zipped right through. That's just wild. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 slabs of that plywood. I've got another slab right here, and I'm gonna line up 2 of these back to back, and I'm gonna see, basically because the compound gets about the same penetration as that Barnett, they both get about 80 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. I'm gonna see if that arrow, what the penetration difference is with 2 slabs, and then see the difference with 2 slabs for the Sniper 370. The Barnett bolt, all that happened was the knot came off. Obviously, I'm not gonna use that one again, but the Sniper 370 bolt is actually, you know, fully intact. There's no cracks in the carbon or anything. So I'm gonna shoot again, hopefully all is well, but I'm gonna shoot through 2 slabs and see what happens. I got the boards all pinned together here. They're not completely touching, so that might hurt the penetration a little bit, but it's about it's an inch of board there, inch of plywood overall. See if it can penetrate through this one and still pass through and stick into the bales, or see if it'll stop it. Let's see what happens. Remember, 10 yards. Let's see the penetration with this. Guys, this is kind of surprising right now. It's just crazy to me. 2 slabs of 1/2-inch plywood definitely stopped both. The Sniper 370, if I'll show you around here, it pretty much almost passed completely through. But in all fairness, according to this, it got just as much penetration as the Matthews did. Tip to tip, they're about the same, dead on the spot, which is very impressive to me. I find that very impressive, the end of the Matthews, you know, on this Matthews side of things. But if that was like, let's say, I mean, a shoulder on a buck could be a lot tougher than this, or not quite as tough, I'm not entirely sure, but I would say this would be a pretty good comparison to something like that, in all honesty. Maybe not, this might not be as tough, but it'd be close. Now, what I'd like to do next is take both these bows, the Crossbow and the Matthews, and do an angle test. Maybe put 2 sets of plywood, or even just 1 for the demonstration. It wouldn't have to be 2 for this demonstration. Set the board at an angle towards the bales and shoot at the board at an angle and see how they penetrate, or if they penetrate at an angle. See if they just kind of like hit it and deflect into the bale, or if more power can get that to bite into the board and actually pass through. Just a thought. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please smash that like button. If you wanted to see more videos related or similar to this, more demonstrations, more testing, please let me know. I would be more than happy to create these videos for you guys. So if, like I said, like the video if you enjoyed this content, comment below what your thoughts and opinions are, any suggestions or recommendations, and if you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe. Take care. Have a nice day.